Welcome, folks. This is a journey into the absurd, the baffling, and the downright infuriating world of automotive design. Ever wondered how some car features, some truly mind-boggling decisions, made it past the drawing board, through countless meetings, and into the cars we drive every single day? Well, today, we're diving deep into that very question. I've scoured the automotive landscape from luxury sedans to budget hatchbacks to find the most questionable, the most frustrating, and frankly, the most hilariously dumb features ever conceived by car manufacturers. Get ready, because some of these will make you shake your head in disbelief. We're talking about features that promise innovation but deliver only irritation, tech that's supposed to make life easier but just adds another layer of complexity you never asked for. From useless tech that feels like it was designed by someone who's never actually driven a car, to downright infuriating design flaws that can turn a pleasant drive into a minor nightmare. These 12 dumbest car features will have you questioning your next test drive. You'll be looking at dashboards and center consoles with a newfound suspicion, wondering what seemingly innocent button hides a world of annoyance. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for the entire list, because it just gets wilder. We're counting them down, and number one is so ridiculous, so utterly nonsensical, it might actually make you laugh and rage at the same time. It's a feature so poorly thought out, it's almost a work of art in its own incompetence. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because this is going to be a bumpy and very entertaining ride into the Hall of Shame for car features. Alright, kicking off our list at number 12, we have something that's become almost ubiquitous in modern cars: touchscreen controls for everything. Now I get it, touchscreens look sleek, they look futuristic, they scream technology, but here's the thing, and it's a big thing, they can be incredibly distracting and genuinely difficult to use while you're, actually driving. Trying to adjust the climate control or change a radio station by poking at a flat, featureless piece of glass? It's a recipe for taking your eyes off the road for far too long. Think about the simple act of turning up the volume or adjusting the fan speed. With a physical knob or button, you can do it by feel, without a glance. Your muscle memory knows exactly where it is, but with a touchscreen you have to look. Coming in at number 11 is a feature that tries to trick your ears and, frankly, insults your intelligence: fake engine noise. Yes, you heard that right. Car makers are now pumping artificial synthesized engine sounds into the cabin through the car's speakers because modern engines, especially smaller turbocharged ones or electric vehicles, are just too quiet for some people's liking. Or perhaps more accurately, too quiet for the marketing department's liking, who think a sporty car needs a sporty roar even if it's completely fabricated. Now I understand the appeal of a great-sounding engine, the throaty rumble of a V8, the high-pitched wail of a flat 6. These are oral experiences that can genuinely enhance the joy of driving. But this is like listening to a recording of a concert instead of being there. It's inauthentic. It's the automotive equivalent of a laugh track, trying to convince you that something is more exciting than it actually is. At number 10, we have the cousin of the touchscreen problem, but often even more infuriating, overly complicated infotainment systems. I'm talking about systems with labyrinthine menus, confusing icons, slow response times, and a user interface that seems like it was designed by engineers who communicate exclusively in code. You shouldn't need a PhD in computer science just to pair your phone or find the navigation settings. Yet, here we are, often wrestling with systems that are anything but intuitive. The sheer number of features crammed into these systems is part of the problem. Car makers want to boast about having a million different apps and customization options, but the result is often a cluttered and overwhelming experience. You end up diving through submenu after submenu, trying to find a simple setting that should be easily accessible. And while you're doing all this digital spelunking, your attention is once again dangerously diverted from the road. Chapter 4, number 9. Auto stop-start systems, the jarring jolt of efficiency. Rolling into the number 9 spot is a feature that's meant to save fuel but often just ends up being an annoyance: auto stop-start systems. You know the drill. You pull up to a red light, come to a complete stop, and a moment later, your engine shuts off. Then, as soon as you lift your foot off the brake, or sometimes even just twitch the steering wheel, the engine jolts back to life. The idea is to reduce emissions and save a tiny bit of fuel during idle periods. Noble intentions perhaps, but the execution can be less than smooth. Chapter 5, number 8, electronic handbrakes, the soulless lever replacement. Sliding into number 8, we have the electronic handbrake, or e-brake. This little button or switch has largely replaced the traditional, satisfying mechanical handbrake lever in many modern cars. And while it saves a bit of space on the center console and might offer some fancy features like auto hold, I can't help but feel we've lost something in the transition. There's a distinct lack of tactile feedback and, dare I say, a bit of soul that comes with these electronic replacements. My biggest gripe is the lack of direct mechanical feel. With a traditional handbrake, you pull the lever, you feel the clicks, you sense the tension as the brake engages. You have a very clear physical understanding of whether the brake is on and how tightly. Chapter 6, number 7, gesture controls, waving your hands like you just don't care because it doesn't work. Waving its way into the number 7 spot is a feature that often feels more like a tech demo gimmick than a genuinely useful addition. Gesture controls. The idea is that you can control certain infotainment functions like changing the volume or answering a call by simply waving your hand or twirling your finger in the air in front of the dashboard. It sounds very futuristic, very Minority Report, but in reality it's often unresponsive, inaccurate, and frankly makes you look a bit silly. The primary problem is reliability. More often than not, your carefully executed gesture goes completely unrecognized by the system. Or you make a gesture and it does something entirely different from what you intended. Chapter 7 brings us to number 6 on our list, fake exhaust tips, which I like to call the automotive catfish. Now these are purely aesthetic offenders, but they really grind my gears. You see them all the time, especially on cars trying to look sportier or more premium than they actually are. We're talking about those big, shiny, chrome or black finishers integrated into the rear bumper that look like they're the outlets for a powerful exhaust system. But, upon closer inspection, they're just plastic trim. The actual, usually much smaller and sadder-looking exhaust pipe is often hidden underneath, pointing down at the ground. This is just automotive dishonesty, plain and simple. Chapter 8 brings us to number 5, Lane Keep Assist, also known as the overly eager co-pilot. Now, on paper, this sounds like a fantastic safety feature, a system that helps prevent you from unintentionally drifting out of your lane. And when it works subtly and correctly, it can indeed be a helpful co-pilot, especially on long, monotonous highway drives. However, many implementations of Lane Keep Assist are overly sensitive, intrusive, and can feel like the car is constantly trying to wrestle the steering wheel away from you. The main issue is often the system's eagerness to intervene. You might be intentionally moving towards the edge of the lane to give a cyclist more room, or navigating a slight curve where you naturally use more of the lane, and suddenly the steering wheel tugs back, or a series of annoying beeps and warnings go off. It can be quite startling and frankly irritating when you are in full control, and the car thinks you're not. Chapter 9 introduces us to number 4, touch-sensitive buttons, the phantom menace of controls. Pressing on to this next annoyance, these buttons often masquerade as sleek modern controls on dashboards and steering wheels. I'm not talking about full touchscreens here, but those flat, glossy surfaces with printed icons that are supposed to react to your touch, sometimes with a little haptic buzz. These are often worse than poorly implemented touchscreens because they offer even less tactile feedback and are incredibly easy to activate by accident. They are the bane of anyone who appreciates the positive, reassuring click of a real physical button. The biggest problem with these touch-sensitive surfaces is the complete lack of delineation. With a physical button, you can feel its edges. You know where it begins and ends, even without looking. You can rest your finger on it before pressing. Chapter 10, #3, Overly Aggressive Driver Assistance Systems, When Help Becomes Harmful. Breaking hard into our number 3 spot are overly aggressive driver assistance systems. This encompasses a range of technologies like automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control with aggressive responses, or collision avoidance systems that are just too trigger-happy. While these systems are designed with the noble goal of enhancing safety, when they are poorly calibrated or overly sensitive, they can actually create dangerous situations, scare the driver, and erode trust in the technology itself. One of the most alarming examples is phantom braking. This is when the automatic emergency braking system falsely detects an obstacle that isn't there and slams on the brakes unexpectedly. Imagine cruising down the highway and your car suddenly brakes hard for no apparent reason. Chapter 11, #2, Poorly Designed Cup Holders, the Daily Spill Zone Nightmare. Spilling into our number 2 spot, and this one is a source of daily, grinding annoyance for so many of us poorly designed cup holders. It might seem like a small thing, a trivial detail in the grand scheme of automotive engineering, but let me tell you, when your morning coffee goes flying because the cup holder is too shallow, too small, or just in a stupid place, it can ruin your entire day. This is a feature that interacts with us constantly, and getting it wrong is a surprisingly big deal. The crimes of bad cup holders are many and varied. Some are simply too small to hold anything larger than a tiny espresso cup, rendering them useless for the super-sized sodas or insulated water bottles many people carry. Others are too shallow, meaning your tall travel mug is constantly threatening to topple over at the slightest corner or bump. Chapter 12, #1, Unintuitive Gear Shifters, the Am I in Park or Reverse? Gamble. And here it is. The number 1 dumbest car feature, the one that can cause genuine confusion, frustration, and even dangerous situations, unintuitive gear shifters. For decades, the PRNDL, Park Reverse Neutral Drive Low Selector, was a fairly standard, straightforward affair. You moved a lever, it clicked into place, you knew what gear you were in. But in the quest for modernity, or to save a tiny bit of console space, automakers have unleashed a bewildering array of bizarre shifters, buttons, dials, monostable joysticks that always return to center, and it's a usability nightmare. The core problem with many of these newfangled shifters is the lack of clear, tactile, and unambiguous feedback. With a monostable shifter, for example, you nudge it forward for reverse, or backward for drive, but it always springs back to the same central position. Did it register your input? You're in drive and not still in reverse before you hit the accelerator? You have to religiously check the little indicator light on the dash, which is an extra step and an extra opportunity for error, especially if you're in a hurry. Then there are the rotary dial shifters. And there you have it, 12 of the absolute dumbest, most infuriating car features that automakers have ever inflicted upon us. From touchscreens that demand too much attention to gear shifters that make you question your sanity. Sometimes simpler is better. A good old-fashioned button or lever can't be beaten. It's amazing what makes it into production, isn't it? Now, this is just my list based on my experiences. I'm sure you have your own pet peeves. What did I miss? What's the dumbest car feature you've ever encountered? Head to the comments and share your frustrations. Let's commiserate together. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, give a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button and notification bell for more videos. Until next time, drive safe, and try not to let the dumb features get you down.